Hi, guys. Oh my goodness, you're so ferocious. Should I just be terrified of you?
Alright, so we're back again with another spicy kitten video, and this time it's Horner. He's talking about the budget cap. So Horner, he might be having some trouble balancing the books right now, which frankly I doubt. Okay, I just frankly doubt that, because there's something to understand about these Formula One teams, and especially the manufacturers that are tied to them. And Red Bull still has Honda ties at the end of the day, right? Especially with the manufacturers that are tied to them, is that these guys all hire economists and your financial experts, and they'll get a rundown as to, well, where is the economy going? What exactly is going to happen? Are we going to have money to see out the season? Do we have to halve our development budget and push that to the logistical budget or what have you? They've got all these type of experts in and around these teams, especially the manufacturers. Like, it's undoubtedly the Mercedes can go to the Mercedes HQ and say, hey, loan us that economist over there. We need to know how things are actually going to shape out. Alpine can do the same. Ferrari, everyone. Quite frankly, even the likes of Haas and Williams can do that. They might be hiring a freelancer or something, but it's the same thing. They can do that just as well. So are teams going to run out of money going by Christian Horner's most spicy of claims? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Unless something crazy happens with inflation, in which case we're not even going to be worried about the F1 season. The F1's not going to matter at that point anymore, right? If inflation gets to a point where, the teams can't see out the season on their budgets, then forget about the season. Forget about, the sports will probably lock down again. All right, it'll probably be World War III. But anyway, I still don't see World War III happening. That's just so unlikely. Horner, he's talking about the budget caps. He's not the only one talking about the budget caps, but he's the only one who's provided quotables to the media. Right, of the teams who are asking for more money from the budget cap right now, you've got Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren, which are the top 4 teams from last season. Oh, what a coincidence. And the reason they're asking for money, they'll dress it up. They'll dress it up with a nice canon reason, saying that, the cost of living is going up. We want to give our employees a raise or what have you. Mercedes have done this. Red Bull are saying that. Really, what's really happening is they want to up their development budget. That's all that's happening. And this is a spicy kitten take because Horner's provided quotables to the media. That's the only reason it's a spicy kitten take. That everyone could be the spicy kitten on this topic, as it were. Well, everyone barring the teams who are not in favor of raising the cost cap. And we'll get to them later. But Horner, he's saying there's a cost of living crisis. Is there? Yeah, there is. Why is there a cost of living crisis? Well, because the Western leaders, in their utmost wisdom, I swear, if these guys are not, I'm assuming competence on Western leaders right now. I'm assuming that they are competent at their job. Because to assume that they're incompetent, one would have to ask why they're still in their positions. But anyway, I'm assuming that they're competent because it's correct to assume that they're competent. So with them being competent and making the decisions that they're making in regards to what the ramifications on the world economy are going to be, I have to now assume that they're just malevolent. And of course, I had this assumption for a long time, much longer than this video existing. But now the working assumption has to be that, okay, they are malevolent. Why is there a cost of living crisis? Because the gas prices went up. Why did the gas prices go up? Because America decided it wasn't going to be energy independence. So they started importing their energy again, their fuel, their oil. all of the like. And then you just have to do a basic supply and demand calculation. And with the supply of oil going down, the demand will go up, and it's gonna cost more. So now that, you know, I don't know what the fuel price is in America. I do know it's ridiculous. Not right now. It's what, $8 a gallon and something. Anyway, it's $5 a gallon at the federal level. But anyway, or it's near $5 a gallon. But at the pumping station, you're gonna be paying damn near $8. Here in South Africa, let me tell you what, petrol prices are about to hit 25 Rand a damn liter. And if that happened outside this Russia, Ukraine, and Biden doing a fuckery in America, if this happened outside that context, well, there would probably be blood in the streets, let me tell you. There might be some headless politicians getting buried just now. But anyway, I'm not advocating violence or anything on this, by the way. I know YouTube gonna get on my ass about that. But anyway, so the gas prices are up, the fuel prices are up, the oil prices are up, and that has a whole lot of knock-on effects. Of course, you'll recognize it going to the grocery store. Everything's more expensive now. In F1, that has a knock-on effect of, well, the logistics cost more now. If you're fabricating parts for an upgrade, those cost more now, because you got to ship all these raw materials around, and you know, it's a fuckery from top to bottom. But our F1 team's gonna run out of money because Horner's made the claim that seven teams will end up missing 4 races at the end of the season. Look, Horner, if you ever find this video, listen, buddy. Braun will never allow that to happen. He will never allow, because this budget cap thing is his baby. Alright, so if under his budget cap, the teams can't even make the whole season if there's some inflation in the world economy, then this budget cap thing is going to be a fail. It'll be a fail. It'll be a stain on his resume. And then what? And even if teams actually can't make the end of the season, and it's, you know, legitimate, it's not that they quote unquote overspent on some upgrades or what have you, but that they actually ran out of money because the logistical cost became too high. If that happens, then yeah, you can expect FOM, the FIA, Braun and friends, to lose some of that money. You can expect that. And they'll lose anything from like $2 million to $5 million per race, pending whatever inflation looks like at the time, to get the season over the line. But we already know Braun is looking into handling this inflation thing, especially going into next season when the budget cap gets reduced even more and teams have even less money to work with. But all that aside, there is some opposition to Horner's incredibly spicy take of 7 teams not being able to make the end of the season. And there is opposition. Alfa Romeo, Haas, Williams, and Alpine are in opposition to raising the budget cap. And it's interesting that there's Alfa Romeo, Haas, and Williams in the mix of teams who are against it, because they're getting engines supplied from, well, their daddy teams, Ferrari and Mercedes. So it's not like Mercedes and Ferrari can buy votes on this issue. Right? We can assume that AlphaTauri will just bat with whatever Red Bull says. we can safely assume that. Otmar says, quite frankly, they've known since November and December that inflation was gonna be in the state that it is. They've known since then. because they've got their own experts, their financial experts that I mentioned at the start of this video. They've got their own financial experts in-house, well, giving them the lay of the land. And it was important in November and December, outside of the fact that that's when teams lay out their budgets, it was important at that time to take note of what the inflation was going to look like. And that was also before this Russia-Ukraine thing, because Biden's decision making, or the Biden administration, the Biden establishment, anyway, the Biden administration, they made a few decisions that that affect F1. Right, they closed down the key pipeline, among other things, over this very short tenure. And there's ramifications for that. Oh yes, indeed, the fuel prices went up and everyone's prices went up. But Atma, he says, look, if you plan to spend X amount on your development budget, 20 mil, he says, right? If you plan to spend 20 mil on your development budget, and due to inflation, the logistical cost of the season goes up by 2 million or 3 million, 2.5 million, 3.5 million. He says, well, you just take that out of your development budget. That's all there is to do. That's really all there is to do. And Otmar, he's using this as a racing tool. All right, he's using this budget cap thing as a racing tool, because he said himself that, well, if they end up missing races, then it's better for me. I'll probably get to overtake them in the championship. So let's say Horner's prognostications come true of 7 teams missing the last 4 races of the Grand Prix. Let's say that actually comes to pass. So what's going to happen? We're going to have Indianapolis 05 for 4 races? Yeah, I strongly doubt that. I just can't see that coming to pass. There's too many people who have skin in the game to let that happen. It's not just Braun, but he's a face that we can attach this to. So we will say Braun, but it's not just Braun. There's a whole lot of other people in the FIA, FOM apparatus who have skin in the game in regards to this budget cap thing. So they can't actually let it fail. And believe you me, it won't fail. The only way it will fail is if the season gets called off because World War III started. That's the only way. Outside of that, Otmar, he's got the absolute correct response here. That's coming out of your development budget, as intended. The budget cap will be working as intended. And of course, people might say, oh, well, what about the employees? They also need to feed their families and make mortgage and the whole lot. You know what's going to happen? Do you know what's going to happen? They're just going to say, well, if you wanted to give them a raise that would fly in the face of this budget cap thing, you probably shouldn't have signed off on the budget cap. So they can't direct, wanting to give employees a raise for a reason to raise the budget cap. That's not a real reason. That's not a real reason. And quite frankly, we see through that. You just want to up your development budget, and that's fine. That's fine. I get it. We're racing. Maybe we are actually racing this season. Doubt that. Yeah, I doubt that now. After Monaco and Verstappen just walking away from a nailed-on penalty. I really doubt we're actually racing this season. But I digress. So this is Christian Horner's spicy take on the budget cap. It's spicy only on account of he's exaggerating massively. And by the way, Horner, I need you to be aware of this, because you said small teams are going to struggle with making the budget or what have you. That's all reversed. The whole small team, big team thing, that's all thrown out the window. Discard that. Discard that. Because who's got the biggest budget this season? It's Haas and Williams. They've got the biggest budget. Who's got the smallest budget? Mercedes. Mercedes, by the way, who could run a $500 million Formula One project before this budget cap thing happened. They've got the least money for the season on account of the rules, on account of the budget cap. So I really need to see that small team, big team thing discarded. That narrative doesn't fit anymore. It really doesn't fit anymore. The good teams, the quote-unquote big teams, they're only separated by intellectual capital. That's the only separator here. Because they've got smarter personnel working internally within the organization, designing the car. They've got smarter engineers at the racetrack. They've got smarter mechanics. Because of all that intellectual capital, they net better results than teams with less intellectual capital. That's all it is. That's the only separator between the teams right now. There is no monetary separator outside of, well, how much budget you can actually use. Those are the only separators. And do note, next season the budget cap will be being reduced. Teams will have even less money to spend. Inflation or no inflation, or who knows, perhaps Braun delays that a season on account of whatever tomfoolery our world leaders are up to at that time. But Horner, please don't lose spicy ass takes like this to the media, please. Please, man. Like, I know there's gonna be a bunch of people who buy into your whole idea that 7 teams might miss 4 races or what have you. Very interesting that he can give, exact estimates like that. I don't know what information I don't know what information his auditors have come across, but I digress. Very interesting that you actually give specific numbers like that. And yeah, it's just not gonna happen that way. Braun won't let it happen that way. Him alone. That's it. He's not gonna let that happen. Because that's his ass that goes down. If it so happens that teams have to miss Grand Prix, that's his ass that goes down. And quite frankly, until Mercedes actually complain to the media about themselves not having enough money to see out the season logistically, there's really nothing to complain about because they've got the least money for the season. And yes, just for posterity, again, yes, Mercedes are one of the teams asking for an upping of the budget cap. But that's not for logistical reasons or for development reasons. That's just for giving their staff a raise. And I'm not even sure if Toto mentioned the cost of living going up on account of all this madness in the world. I'm pretty sure he didn't do that. I'm pretty sure he mentioned wanting to give his employees a raise because they worked so hard last season. But I digress. That's the vid. Peace.
Hell breezy. Let me show you how to keep the dice rolling when you're doing that thing over there. Hey, let's go! Cause I'm feeling like I'm running and I'm feeling like I gotta get away. Better know that I don't and I won't ever stop. Cause you know I gotta win every day. Go! She really wanna pop me. Go! Just know that you will never flop me. And I know that I gotta be a little cocky. Go! You ain't never gonna stop me. Every time I come a nigga gotta set it, then I gotta go and then I gotta get it, then I gotta blow it, and I gotta shut it. Any little thing a nigga think that he be doing, cause it doesn't matter, cause I'm gonna dead it. Then I'm gonna murder everything and anything about it. Boom, about a bing. I gotta do a lot of things to make it clearer to a couple niggas that I always win and and I gotta get it again and again and again. And I be doing it to death, and now I move a little foul. Nigga better call a rap, and everybody know my style. Niggas know that I'm the best when it come to doing this, and I be banging on my chest, and I bang in the east, and I banging in the west, and I kinda give you more, and I will never give you less. You will hear it in the street, and you can read it in the press. Do you really wanna know what's next? Let's go. See the way we on it, and we all up in the race, and you know we gotta go now, try to keep up with the pace, and we struggling and hustling to set it and to get it, and we always gotta do it, take it to another place. Gotta taste it, and I gotta grab it, and I gotta cut all through